Hello and welcome to the Best Umpire Show, where you learn to become the best umpire you can be by improving your skills and connecting with other umpires. Here's your host and fellow umpire, Andy Traub.
Hey friend, great to have you back for another episode of the Best Umpire Show. Today we're going to talk about 10 ways to make more money as an umpire. I don't know if you know this or not, but the umpires at the Little League World Series every year in Williamsport, those are volunteers. They do not get paid. And I think that is noble of them and wonderful. But the reality of most umpires is that they are in the career and the field of umpiring for several reasons, as we talked about in our first episode. But one of those reasons is because you do get paid. I think we would have 80% less umpires if we were not paid for what we do. And frankly, there's so much money in baseball, specifically travel baseball, that there is plenty of money to go around to pay umpires. I think that we earn every penny we get. I want to give you 10 ways to make more money as an umpire. And actually, I have a bonus one, so stick around to the end for that one. The first way to make more money as an umpire is I found myself running into an issue a few years into umpiring, which is that I was taking games that were further from my house because I was like, hey, I want to make sure I get these games. But I really found myself, again, I'm spending time away from my family. I'm driving a vehicle. I'm using gas. I'm wear and tear on the vehicle, and you got to get food and so on and so forth. But the issue was that by the end of the day, I was really tired and I was like an hour and a half from home. So one of the key things you can do to make more money as an umpire is just find games closer to your home. Do your very best to work closer to where you live. And yes, that might mean that you make $20 less a game, but if you don't have to drive an hour there, an hour back, it may be worth it to make less in your local versus having to drive further away. Don't look past your local area. Within 10 miles of where I live, there are 4 different leagues that I could umpire for. So there's a lot of games you could work pretty close to your home if you're willing to do the schedule and working on those weeknights. The second tip is to don't just think about individual leagues or schools, because most schools, you're not going to work 4 games in a day. But here's my caution to you. Don't get stuck looking just at the dollars. I shared this story in an earlier episode. And there was one time I did 10 games in a day, and it was a softball tournament. Games were like an hour and 15 minutes long. But man, it was just really hard. And fundamentally, the biggest problem is you usually have to umpire the next day, and you have nothing left in the tank for the second day. By the 5th, 6th, 7th game, you're not a very good umpire. You are not mentally alert, especially if the weather is not advantageous. So avoid, if you can, working too much in a tournament. At a certain level, they don't want us to work more than 2 or 3 games. But there's other tournaments that I can probably work 4 or 5 games. But the days of 7 and 8 games, and unless I'm super well rested and I'm only doing one day, those days are over for me. So another specific way to make more as it relates to tournaments is find out what they pay at certain levels, because there's a tournament that I work with, and I think it's once you get to 14U, you get another $10 a game. But they also add, I think, another 30 minutes to those games. And maybe it's 15. I don't mind taking those games. But also do the math. Sometimes it's better at younger ages because the games are shorter versus the older ones that they add $10, but it's another 30 minutes. So do work tournaments and then choose games that you can earn more at. Another one that relates to this working tournaments and the ways to make more money is to choose the assigners that are great communicators. I have worked with assigners. I've worked with UICs that are in charge of the umpires for a specific tournament. And most of them have been great, but 1 or 2 stick out in my mind. They didn't have my back in a difficult situation, and they're just really bad communicators. They're making money when you take games. Part of their pay is to organize you working these games. And so they really should be serving you. You are their customer, and they should be serving you, the assigners. Now, you need each other. I get that. They should be communicating well with you. They should be helping you when you're in a difficult situation. There's a specific assigner that I'm remembering that I worked with in the last year, and I always felt like they had my back. Even when I was wrong, they didn't say, hey, you were right, but they just said, hey, I understand, a difficult situation, do better next time, we're here for you. They were advocating for higher pay. They had high expectations of us, but they had also expectations of how fans and coaches behaved. And I will just tell you, if someone is a great communicator, that overcomes a lot of stuff. Like I will work for someone for 10, $20 less a game if they're a great communicator, because I've worked with, and there's just one I'm thinking of that is just a train wreck, that they just don't respond to text very well. Even when they respond, it's just like, how do you mess up texting? It's not that hard. We're not great communicators, asking at the last minute. And then when you had an issue, they just really didn't back you up. But when there was a ruling question, work tournaments, but don't kill yourself doing it, and work for the right people. That's number 2. Number 3, the third thing you can do to make more money as an umpire is be easy to work with. This is a lot of different stuff I'm going to pack into these, but one of them is to use the scheduling system. Horizon is one that I use, and it's not the most glamorous looking website, but you go in there and you say, I'm available Saturday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and I'm not available Sunday, this and that. And if you put your information in there early, that helps your assigner. That makes it easier for them to do their job. So use their scheduling system and use it well. And also, when they give you a game, don't reject it. I don't know if I've ever had to do that, ever. Don't put time that you're available and then not be available. That is very frustrating as an assigner, because they feel like, I'm done. I did my job. I'm good. And then they get all these games. I don't know what they call them, but there's something about pushback or recall or returned or something like that, rejected. But just don't do that to the assigners. They will not like you. They will remember your name, and not in a good way. The next time they see you're available, they may not give you a game because they're like, is this guy going to throw the game back to me? So use their scheduling system, put your schedule out there as far as you can, and then take the games that they give you. Another thing you can do in the area of being easy to work with is take extra games if they need you. Maybe you're at the field and they say, hey, we need you for one more. One time I was working as a floater for a tournament, and I was literally just paid to show up. I think I got paid like $60 a game for just being there, and I was paid like $85 if I did a game. And I showed up and I was like, hey, I'm your floater in case someone gets hurt or passes out or whatever. And they're like, great. I was there for 10 minutes, and then they're like, hey, we just had an umpire get hit by a ball, and now his partner doesn't really trust him. Can you run over there and be the third umpire? And I went over there and worked with this awesome umpire. And yeah, sure enough, his partner had gotten hurt, but his partner didn't want to not work the game because he wanted to get paid. And so it was an older guy and just was curmudgeony and was like, I'm fine. And the dude was not fine. He got hit in the mask, straight on. The catcher didn't make any contact with it. It wasn't even a foul ball. It just hit him, and he was just dazed. It just wasn't real steady on his feet. We worked 3-man, which I don't do very often. And the first base umpire was this older umpire, and he just stood at first the entire game. And I rotated between positions at C and then third. So it was great, but they're like, hey, we need you to be flexible. Then I got done with that game, and that was cool. And then I thought, okay, I'm good. I'm chilling. Like, I'm good. The rest of the day, I'm fine. They said, hey, we need you to drive an hour away. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. Because I wanted to be a yes man for these people. I wanted to have a good relationship with them. I wanted them to want to work with me again in the future. And so I said, sure. And I drove an hour, and they said, hey, we'll make it up to you. And this guy actually sent me like a separate check for doing that, which I thought was really cool. So be easy to work with. Take extra games if they need you to. The other thing you can do when it comes to being easy to work with is run games efficiently and professionally. Don't be chatting up and having 15-minute long plate meetings. Start your games on time. Make sure that in between innings, teams are getting on and off the field. Be a professional. If you're easy to work with, the coaches will say, hey, we like that guy. Be professional in that you show up and you look great. There's so many things that go into being professional. We'll have a whole another episode on that. But be professional. That is very important when it comes to being easy to work with. The fourth way you can make more money is to have a great attitude. And this is a specific one, and it's nuanced in that you need to express your gratitude. It's a sad state of affairs, but the reality is that you can really separate yourself from most people, most umpires, I'll just say it, by just expressing gratitude. I mean it. I can separate myself from other umpires because every time that I show up and I have an on-site umpire, head umpire, and very often with my assigners, I am just constantly saying, thank you. I appreciate it because I am grateful and I do appreciate it. And I'm not doing that just to kiss their butt. I'm doing it because I'm really grateful. And I also know that they need to hear that. They appreciate hearing that. Maybe they don't need to hear it, but I think they do appreciate when I say, hey, thank you for this extra income for my family. Thank you for this opportunity for helping me get better. Thank you for assigning me with really experienced umpires so I can get better. Thank you for working with my schedule. Thank you for being a great communicator. Thank you for helping me clarify this rule that I didn't know or whatever. Thanks for covering my butt when these people were mad at me or backing me up on an ejection. So have a great attitude is a way you will make more money, because again, that's going to separate you from other umpires that you're really competing with when it comes to getting games. This one goes along with something I already said, which is communicate well with the on-site supervisor. Don't just show up and say, all right, see ya. Ask them how they're doing. Say thank you. Ask them, is there anything else I need to know? Is there any more information? Do we have any coaches we need to look out for? Have we had any issues with ejections? Do you want me to come find you if there's this and this? Communicate well. Have an expectation that you're going to know their name. You've got their phone number handy if you have to call them. Set expectations and then meet expectations. Be a person who expresses gratitude, but specifically, I haven't mentioned this, there are on-site directors, but there's also athletic directors, and sometimes there's coaches. You can just say to the coach, really was impressed by how your boys played or your girls played, and I really appreciate the way you ran your team. They're going to remember that. Some people might think you shouldn't have conversations like that with coaches, but I like to tell coaches, hey, I appreciate the way you ran things and your kids were respectful or whatever that might be. So have a great attitude. Number 5 is be a great partner. You will make more money by being a great partner because you'll have guys who want to work with you and your reputation will grow. If you're in a situation where there's a guy that you're working with has already worked the plate twice and then you guys have 3 games together, you could say, hey, just tell me, do you want to take a break or do you want to just do one more plate, even though it's 3 plates in a row for you? Like, just be easy and take the plate more if they want you to take the plate more. When I'm working with more experienced umpires, I like to take the plate because it helps me get better because they're going to give me feedback on how to get better. And frankly, there's times I work with umpires that are in their late 60s, 70s, and they're like, you want to work the plate more? Go for it, man. And those guys sit back and between every inning, I'm asking, how's my zone? What can I be working on? They'll remember me as a great partner. And you might think, man, Andy, you're killing yourself over that guy. No, I'm trying to become a better umpire. Communicating well with your partner is also a real key to making more money and just being easier to work with. So that's texting them, making sure you're on the same page with what color shirt you're going to wear and what time you're going to arrive. I like to, just remind them I'm going to be here on time and I left my house. And I would prefer to over communicate with a partner than I would under communicate. And then just communicate appreciation when you do work with them. Encourage them, man, great call at first. That was bang, but I think you got it. Or hey, like you were really on top of that, great angle. There's different things you can do, but just encourage them. I like to ask questions of other umpires. How long have you been doing this? What were the games that you do the most often? Do you umpire for a league? What advice would you have if I wanted this and this? Just ask questions. Another one is talking through situations as a partner, coming to them during the game and listening and talking through situations in a professional way. I've worked with really bad partners who are like, hey man, on a check swing, don't ever overrule me. Be willing to talk through situations as you should as a professional umpire. Another thing you can do to be a great partner and then make more money is work with the same partner as often as you can if you like them. There's a few partners that I just love working with. It doesn't even feel like work sometimes because we just complement each other really well. We know each other's styles and habits. There's just certain guys I just love working with. You'll want to work more games and it won't be as tiring because who you're working with. The 6th way you can make more money as an umpire is to expand your menu. And so what that means is that don't be afraid to work at your local league. Don't be afraid to work travel. Don't be afraid to work a school. Don't be afraid to work, I'll say this, softball. There's a lot of umpires that are like, I'd never do softball. I don't like softball. Okay, fine. I love working softball most of the time. And it might sound silly, but here's why. The field is smaller, so there's less ground to cover. You can see things easier. Second, the ball's bigger. It's easier to find the ball, and it's yellow, and so it's easier to see it tracking over the plate or fair foul or in the sky or in the dirt or whatever. I like it. It's a different environment for sure. There's different things you have to look for. In softball, you're going to have a lot more girls stepping out of the box and making contact with the ball out of the box because they do these crazy where they run and bunt at the same time and their foot's out of the box. In baseball, it's not a very common call. But expand your menu. Be willing to work other levels. The 7th way you can make more money is to attend an umpire camp. Spend some money is what I'm saying. because it will make you a better umpire. Don't miss out on a good umpire camp. One, they're just great to be around other guys that are doing the same thing you're doing. And two, like, you will get better. It's so humbling. It's so humbling, the amount of feedback. But I just had an absolute awesome time. I cannot wait to go back and to go to more of these. But I know guys that, a buddy of mine, Joseph, he went to 4 or 5 this year and to fly to Florida for some, but he is getting better and he takes it really seriously and he invests in himself. And I love umpire camps. I can't wait to go back. You'll get better and you'll make connections at that umpire camp, very likely, especially if it's more of a local one, that you'll get more games. A lot of folks will pay you more if you have been to an umpire camp or been through a specific training. The 8th way to make more money is to invest in yourself so you look and feel good. Get good enough equipment. And I don't mean you have to get a $300 mask. I remember the first mask I got, and then I got a second mask, and I was like, oh my gosh, this thing literally is half as heavy as my first mask. Do spend some money on equipment, and I'll have another episode about cheaper equipment and more expensive equipment, but I think my chest protector was only like $90 or $100 or something like that. The first one I had was like 60, and you can spend $300 on a chest protector. My mask is probably only like a $70 mask. Again, you can spend $200, $300 on a mask. My legs, as I call them, my shin, my knees, some people call them, those are probably another 60 or 70. And again, you can pay a couple hundred for those. My shoes were probably 110, my plate shoes. And then I have some Brooks that I got off just Facebook Marketplace, some black Brooks. Really love those for my field shoes. And I got some foot pads for $10 on Amazon that I absolutely love. Those were just like game changer. I was like, oh my gosh, these are so great. And you get some indicators. I'm going to have a whole episode, I'm not kidding, on indicators. I have an indicator that I absolutely love and I've like customized it. They're $20 each and you have to order them from Japan. It takes 2 weeks to get here and I can only find them on eBay, but I absolutely love them. I'm embarrassed to tell you that, but I'm going to do a whole episode on it. Invest in yourself so you look and feel good. You will want to do and be able to do more games if you invest in yourself. Get the right equipment. And also, if you have to get certified, this is another way of investing in yourself. If you have to get certified in something, in a specific training or association, do the certification. What's hard is that many of you are already umpiring and you're like, man, I got to not work that weekend to go through this training, or I got to go every Thursday for 2 months to get, yes, just do the math. If you're going to get certified and approved to be able to work in that association, if you do the training, then do the training. Another way you can invest in yourself for your longevity is invest in the right food when you go to games. So if you're going to be gone all day, don't just rely on cheeseburgers. Pack yourself some fruit and some electrolytes and things like that. There's certain ice pack methods that I use on really hot days. And it's a 4-pack of these 6x4 ice packs. And they're pretty thin. And you put them in lunch boxes or lunch pails or whatever. I tie them around my back straps on my chest protector, and it sits against my back. And it keeps me really cool. And then I can just literally swap it out mid-game if I have to. They have other systems for cooling that kind of run off the same principles, but I think they're pretty expensive. Number 9, try different tournaments, try different schools, try different leagues. You might be willing to work for less at a different league if it's easier to work at. You might not really understand how much they pay at certain leagues. There's some leagues that pay 30, 40, 50% more than other leagues. And so don't be afraid to expand to other leagues, other schools, other sports, if that helps. Number 10, and then our bonus. Number 10 is don't wait until you're ready. You will make more money if you do higher level games. And so this was a big year for me. I jumped up in confidence tremendously by just doing harder games, doing a higher level of baseball. And here's the secret that I think that this will make you move up in your progression as an umpire faster than you probably thought you could or should, which is that the higher level games are often easier because it's cleaner. Most of the time that I see a strike, a kid is swinging at these higher levels. They're not taking a lot of pitches. There's not a lot of walks because the pitching's good and the hitting's good. It's just cleaner. There's more balls in play. The catchers are better. Move up and you'll get more games, but don't wait until you think you're quote unquote ready. When you move up, you want to make sure that you communicate with your assigner, hey, this is the first time I've done, 17U, 18, blah, blah, whatever it might be. But they'll just assign you with the right partner for that. But don't wait and wait and wait, because you could wait years before you really move up. Now, I also have heard this story of a guy that moved up too early, like into college, and he just screwed it up. And then he burned his chance to move up. I'm not talking about that. But if you're really trying to go to that super higher level, then you do need to wait until you're ready. You don't want to get into a college situation, probably even high schools, and screw it up. But I would say that if you can do 13, you can do 15. If you can do 15, you can do 17. If you can do 17, that's where it starts to move up. So don't wait until you're ready, because you're just going to make a lot less. Here's the bonus one. I'm going to give you 2 bonuses. The first one is don't work for too little. I know I said do some for free. That's fine. But don't get stuck working at a tournament making $40 a game, or working at a league making $40 a game day in and day out. You should get paid more. There are areas that $70 a game is great. There's areas that $150 is great. There's quite a range. I would love for you to email me at TheUmpireShow@gmail.com. That's TheUmpireShow@gmail.com. And tell me how much you get paid for different scales, different ages. At our local Little League, the lowest you can make is $30 for a T-ball, and the most you can make is like $75 if you do a higher level game by yourself. So first is don't work for too little, but the bonus tip I'll tell you is find an association to work with. Find an umpires union if you can. There's a group that I'm a part of here in the Nashville area, True Blue. They're phenomenal. It's great leadership, great communication, so much expertise. They fight for us. They advocate for us. They put you with great partners. They don't put up with guys who aren't taken seriously. They don't put up with guys who don't show up on time. They're really good umpires. It's an honor to be a part of that group. So if you can, join a group that will advocate for higher fees for you. And then you don't negotiate on fees. Like, you'll never work for less than whatever the negotiated fee is, or that's $90 or 110 or whatever it might be. So you got to do a good job when you're part of that group, because you're representing the whole group. But if you can get in with one of those groups, it's a really good gig. All right. This is what I would love for you to do. Number 1, share this episode with another umpire that you know. And number 2, let me know what you get paid. I'm always curious to know, what do you get paid for what level? How long is the game? So what is the age? How long is the game? And usually, is it just, it's 6 innings, 7 innings, or is it a time thing? A lot of travel is time. No new inning after an hour and a half, whatever. And so how much do you get paid? And how many will they let you do in a day? Because a lot of people, they won't let you do 5 or 6 games in a day. So I'd love to hear that from you. So this is a longer episode, but I'm sure it's going to be one of the most popular, because guys want to know, hey, how can I make more money? And I hope this has been helpful for you. If it has, leave me a review, send me some feedback, share the show with other people. Appreciate you. God bless. Keep up the good work. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Thanks for being part of the Best Umpire Show community. You can find more helpful content on our other social channels. We appreciate it when you leave reviews and share this show with others. If you've got a question, comment, want to be a guest on the show, or become a sponsor, reach out to Andy at TheUmpireShow@gmail.com. That's TheUmpireShow@gmail.com. Until next time, stay focused, stay fair, and always be ready for the next pitch.